You are reputed to have a very strong or maybe comfortable relationship with the current government in Russia and with the president himself. How would you describe that relationship, and and what sort of benefits you think it gives you as a result?
I don't think we're getting any benefits, and we have in Russia very strong government owned banks which operate in a government order. But I'm very proud that the president became the chairman of the board of our business school, which we established with the 17 other partners inside of Russia. The good news, we have a respect inside of Russia, we have a respect outside of Russia. Definitely the government see the Troika as very valuable instruments for attracting the investment. And we're doing a lot of good things, we're organizing a lot of things which help Russia in general promote Russia outside of country. We're doing a lot of things which we hope will benefit not only us, not will bring profit to us, but will bring benefit for the country. And the government appreciates about this what we're doing. But we're not getting any business special treatment. And again, I want to say, again, our major competitive advantages, we're independent and operating with many groups.
You're already starting to talk about the day when you will leave Troika Dialog. What's the basis of that conversation, and what are you going to do after you leave?
You know, I think it's a partnership culture. You need to build the succession planning. You need to be honest with your partners. And you need to build the expectation with your clients. You need to build the expectation with your staff. And already 2 years ago, I told people that in 5 years' time, I was looking at the potential to step down from my position because I've already been 20 years working in a Troika Dialog. It's quite intensive work now. And also, I think it's good for the company to change the leadership and continue being one of the top leading house with getting some new faces. I never thought I would be investment banking all my life. I always tell people I would prefer to do something interesting else. I've always been involved in many projects. You can see my biography. I've been chairman of the board or board member of many institutions. I've been developing the Sukhoi Superjet aircraft, chairman of the board. I'm the president of the business school, and I'm doing a lot of charity projects. And I'm the very person who has a lot of interest in life. I have a very nice, great family with the 4 kids, and I just decided to myself that one day I need to say, enough is enough, and let's do next stage of development. And I strongly believe in Russia, we need to develop charity industry, which is not about my personal money, but to develop the industry which will be professionally managed by lawyers, accountants. They have a transparent system of the reporting, the good, understandable mechanism decision making, which we don't have yet. And this, I think, is a very interesting, challenging project for me.
All these elements that you talked about, corporate, well, it sounds like corporate governance, accountability, transparency, at the same time, corporate social responsibility. I mean, if you were to map out what you're talking about against, global or Western ideals, are you alone in Russia?
No, if I was alone, I would not be successful, right? You can see myself sitting here and you interviewing me with showing, but I'm not alone. And it's the question. For inside of Russia, it's important to these points, not clearly visual for everybody. It's people don't see the immediate benefit. But for me, when I started with no capital, no experience, I knew the only thing I can build my reputation. I knew that only I can get the clients with the good services. I didn't have any other advantages except I knew how to work with the foreigners, and I understand how Russians are meaning things. And I was trying to be best to both sides, not jeopardize my reputation. And I would say it was a great opportunity for me to show people with building like Skolkovo Business School, whereas we raised $250 million cash from the partners to build a school with non-profit institution. And it was very important people to see the success of this project, just showing you can do it. You need to. It's always very difficult, a lot of problems, a lot of concerns, a lot of risk, a lot of bad stories. But it's a good success story. You can see again, it can possibly
be done. In fact, it is a very impressive story because Skolkovo sounds like the INSEAD of Russia today, and in a very, very short time. What were the ingredients that you thought were necessary to make that happen?
First, you need to find the right partners who will trust, who will go with you in this type of risky journey. Second, you need to do a lot of good homework. I was visiting myself in 2004, 2005, 54 business schools all over the world trying to see what's going on in the education industry. I found also that Moscow is a very attractive city because of the lot of business activity going in Moscow. But more importantly, I found this very interesting concept, providing education about emerging markets of transforming economy in a place like Moscow will be much more valuable compared to Fontainebleau, which I love it, but it's a very nice, relaxed place, or going to Boston or Stanford, you're getting a very nice education how to do business in America, but nothing you don't understand how to do business in Russia or in China or in India. And so I said, okay, we can do the program whereas the people will get more real-life experience because we are living in the countries where not a lot of transparency, not a lot of information you can get. It's not like you're going to Bloomberg and Reuters and getting this information which allowed you to make decisions. Here, a lot of things you need to know. So I say, okay, let's do education which will people spend 9 months in Russia, 3 months in China, 3 months in India, and go some emerging market experience.
So Skolkovo, what is it based on? Which models come closest to describe?
It's a very difficult, it's quite new model. For example, it's very unusual how you pass exams. We say it's an entrepreneurial school, and we have 18 founding members. And the last exam when you're passing it to any students who've been applicable to the founding members. If the 2 founding members saying, we don't believe this guy or girl has and fire in his eye or her eyes, we don't see the patient and the right drive, we will say no to the person. Doesn't matter how GMAT is good or not, and how English is good or not, because we're trying to find entrepreneurial school, which is not normally. In most of the school, you're passing exam more for the clerks, not for the professors or the founding members. But I would say IMD a little bit looks like we took some element of IMD from the European Business School, in Lausanne. We look IBC, Indian Business School in Hyderabad. We very thankful to Singapore. We took some interesting stories in Singapore. We are very close cooperation with MIT, Sloan Business School, which is our partner. And we're doing a lot of cooperation with Fudan Business School in China, with the Fondo Andon Cabral in Brazil. It's a good partnership networking. We don't copy any schools. It's a new school with new approach.
But why the focus on doing term in Moscow, in Beijing?
Beijing or Shanghai, yeah.
And in India, right? So why that focus instead of why don't you complete that focus with some time in Europe or in North America?
No, we're doing 2 months. Also, people can go. It's a project based. People doing corporate project, startup project, and government public project. Because we said in the end, we want the person to make his decision after 16 months in MBA classes. Do I want to stay in emerging markets? Do I want to go in developed countries? It's a 2 different model, because in developed countries, it's very high competition, but much better understanding rules of the game, much more clear about how decision-making process is done, a lot of information, but not a lot of opportunities. It's why going in America, most of the foreigners who are going in America study in America and want to stay in America. But we're saying, let's Americans who want to work in China, India, Russia, will come to Moscow and learn how to live in Moscow, and we understand better how we can do business. Can we do business in Russia and China or India or not? As I say, we see the trend that people not only want to go to America or to Western Europe, but they also want to come from all over the world and learn how this region developing. And I think this key region for the next 21st century, the key area of development will be Asian part of the world, and this include Russia, Far East, include India, China, all other countries in the Asian market.
If your life had taken a different track altogether, and say, for example, you were very well connected in Moscow and you had made a lot of money in oil and gas, do you think that you would have been a very different person as a result?
I will say no, because I see some of my good friends and partners who made very good money in oil and gas, building company for zero, and being very entrepreneurial and very professional people. As I will say, it's not a question about which industry you choose. I think the key issue, what kind of principle you're living, what kind of values you believe, and what is your goals and dreams. And this depends from your personality. If you do what you like, and if you know what the price you're willing to pay for achieving these results, I don't see a big difference. It will be oil and gas or financial services.
Ruben Vardanian, thank you so much for spending time with us.